Okay everyone, here's the car I'm going to be doing. Well, one side of it anyway. Right there. And here's the car. It's a CNIS. Okay. What I'm going to do is tell you the first step I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to put a whitewash on it. For some bleach effect, that means it'll make the red a little bit lighter. Here's what I'm using. Dollar store white paint. Acrylic white. Dollar store paint. And I mixed it up into a wash to a consistency of skim milk. If you can see it. Let me see. It's like skim milk in there. Throw that in the airbrush. Go over your train car really lightly, and I'll film that all for you. So I'm just saying this real fast so I can get it done, and I'll have so much video to process. So that's what I'm going to do. Do the whole car, make it white. It's already white, but it'll make the red less red. Anyway, there you go. Okay, now that I put on the white sun bleach effect, I'm going to put on raw sienna, and I made it a wash, you can see right here. Sorry about the color, camera eye. It's like a milk, skim milk, consistency of skim milk. I'm going to put that in the airbrush. Here we go. And that's what I'm using. Acrylic Liquitex raw sienna. And I'll open it up for you. There you go. It's a paste. And you just mix it with a little bit of rubbing alcohol to weten it up. Okay, what I'm going to be doing is that right there. These streamers coming down from the roof walk supports. Put on the light color first, raw sienna. Then, as you can see right about here, it fades in with another color. We put that on next. But I'm going to airbrush tight as I can the raw sienna all along here. Then I think it's burnt umber or something. Well, we'll get onto that in the next step. But that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to film the whole thing for you. I have a nice long video. I'll film it and fast forward so you can see me do it. Okay, now what you want to do is this. Okay, you take your Q-tip, stick it in, you want to get your rust lines tighter. If you oversprayed and you made the line really thick, and you gotta tighten it up. Now, sorry, you use a Q-tip. Oh, where am I going here? Okay, first off, before you put this on, after you put the whitewash on, you spray trim clad, a thick, fast layer of trim clad over it. That'll keep the white on there without smudging. I didn't do that because this is a used locomotive. It's already white, so, or not locomotive, hopper, and it's already white. And I bought this thing on eBay. I bought 3 of them on eBay for like 20 bucks, and they're all weathered and just nasty looking. So I peeled off all the stuff, and I'm gonna redo it good. So now after you put the trim clad on, you put the rust on your raw sienna. You take your Q-tip with rubbing alcohol, and you just slowly go down like this. Try not to make it too tight, but you get all the residual off the sides there. Keep it tight. You want them tight because these are little streaming running loops. Just tighten them up like that, and you do it for the whole car. Like that. Now if it's wide, leave it wide. But you're copying what you like, so that's why I'm doing it this way. Okay, there. Okay, now what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your raw sienna paste you made, or the wash you made. You get yourself a fine tip paintbrush, finest you can get. Dip it in the wash, and you make a tight line coming down. 2 or 3 tight lines coming down to highlight the basic run from your roof walk support, like this. See how it highlights it? And don't worry if you make too many and it's very prominent, because you're going to be going over it with another color in a little bit anyway. So you just want to brighten it up in there. On some of them, the heavier ones, you go a little heavier on. There, brought the detail out a lot. Do the other side. And this is a very fine paintbrush, 0.1 or something like that. Now your car is going to have contrast. It's going to stand out. A lot of people use powders, but I find it's just bland and boring. It's just like bland. Yeah, look at my car is dirty. There's no character to it. There's no fire to it. It's just whatever. My dirty car. I mean, it's okay to have that, but if I'm putting all this effort in, I want some damn cool look great when I'm done. Okay, next step is, you see all of this line here? The line of dots. Somewhere along there was a scrape. The paint got chipped and made these rust spots. So what we're going to do is make all these dots with the runs coming down. Up here, the extra one up here, there's a couple over here. That's our next step. All over the car. All right. Okay. Find it. Come on, son of a bitch. Okay, take your tape, find out where it goes, and you make your line. It goes right through the national. So we make our line right through the national. You don't even stick it on. You don't even stick it on. You just put it on the ends because you don't want to rip off any of your paint. Take your fine tip paintbrush. You take your raw sienna. And you make a few dots right along the line. So the dots will be lined up. It don't have to be perfect, we're going to go over them again, but we just need the basic. Oh, here it is, here it is. You make a, like that, because there is a little bit of line in there. So, too complicated. This is just for the one side of the car. We're going to be smudging, taking away. I'm just doing this. Now watch. You see a basic line going across? We're going to highlight all that later with other colors. So what I'm going to do now is film me making the dots. Yay. Okay. You can watch that.
How was yours?
Oh, very good.
You should try a mousse. It'll change your life expectancy.
No thanks, just the change.
What's the matter with you?
What?
Why didn't you flirt with her?
Come on.
She was flirting with you. Why didn't you say something?
What am I gonna say?
You just sat there.
Well, you made me uncomfortable.
You're a comedian. Couldn't you come up with something? Where's the bathroom?
In the back, on your right. Dad, will you stop it? Jerry, let go.
Jerry.
Would you let me pay just once?
You're out of your mind.
How are you gonna pay? You don't even have a wallet.
Don't worry about it.
What are you gonna do?
What's the difference? We'll figure something out. You're not paying.
All right, fine. You figure something out. I'd be very curious to know how you pick up a check with no money. Because if this works, the whole monetary system's obsolete. We're back to one. I'll go to the bathroom. How the hell am I going to pay for this?
It is some point.
Okay, our next step is going to be burnt sienna, which is the red rust. Right here, as you can see, let me focus. Right here. What you want to do is you want to blend it over top of the other rust you put on earlier, which was the raw sienna. So right over top of the raw sienna, you hit it with the airbrush and you wash down. When that will layer over top of the raw sienna, and you'll get the same effect with an airbrush as on the car. And you want to do it all the way down, 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 from the top down. That's why airbrushes are good. Very, very good. Okay? You do that everywhere on the car, you see it. Don't worry about these dark chipping rust yet. At the top there. We're going to do all that later. But for right now, that's where you want to go. So, I'm going to show you the airbrushing of on the car here. And I'm just going to start here and come down, come down, come down. So it bleeds from red into the raw sienna. the burnt sienna into raw sienna, and you'll see it. It just looks incredible. It's the best part of rusting, man, is layering the rust colors on. It's the best part of the car, and you got to do the detail or it ain't gonna look right. Take your time and do it right, and do both sides of the car. And so that's what we're gonna do now. Oh, just to show you. And then you go over it with a paintbrush with the same color you made with the burnt sienna. Put a couple lines in where it's heavy, and I'll show you that too. This is a paste Liquitex. It's the same as the big. It's just when I went to buy the new bottle, they didn't have the big one. It was sold out, so I bought another one of these small ones. And this will last you 2 years or more if you use it sparingly. Keep the lid on, it don't dry out. It'll last you a long time. This is about 20 bucks. That was about 10. And the rare colors, the more fancy ass colors, they run you up to 50 bucks for a big one. So use it sparingly. It's expensive. Wow! Also, when you make your wash, you want to use a rubbing alcohol. It's the stuff you put on sore muscles, cuts and bruises and stuff like that. You make a wash out of that. I don't use anything else but that for this modeling stuff. It's perfect. It works great. Don't drink it. Just because it says alcohol doesn't mean you can drink it. But then again, I've seen people drink it. Believe it or not. Anyway. Okay, this is our next color, burnt umber, mixed with rubbing alcohol. Doing it on a plate. Put a little bit on a plate. Add your rubbing alcohol on. Dip your dip your paintbrush in the rubbing alcohol, and then start kneading the paint until you get a nice wet consistency. You don't want no bloops and blumps and clobs and some things. You want to mash all that in, get it good and loose. More wet than, not like skim milk. They'll just run down a car. You want it tacky, but not so tacky as to build up wads on your paint job. Sorry. You know what I'm saying? Because if you put it on the car and it wads up, and then when it dries and it wads up, you got to take it off because it just don't look right. So you want the right consistency, and you learn, you play with it. That's all I can say. We're putting this on with the paintbrush. Okay. So you just keep adding a little bit of alcohol, wetting it till it's just about right. And then when you think you got it, we're just going to start putting it on the car. Everything you see on your prototype photo, where there's right in here, Jesus, I gotta focus this thing all the time. Right in here, all these dots, all that on the top of each run starting coming down on the top. You want a big black wad there, not a wad, but you know, you want a black, because this is all a hunk of chipped rust, and the rest is running down. And I'm going to add to the rest of the running down after we put the spots on. So put all the spots on, all over the whole car. Don't be afraid, just go for it. Because there's another level after that. We're using the same thing, and it's with the airbrush, and it's really a major part of blending the rust colors in, and it's going to enhance your car like 1,000-fold. and it's really important to do it. Alright, so that's what we're doing next. Okay, so if you get confused, I'm going to show you something here on the rusting ways. You got all your dark patches, buckling rust coming from the top, coming down. So you put them on, then you put your major rust patches along this cut line on the side of the hopper, and then you put your major rust on the bottom. Now, this is important. This is what I want to show you. This is really important if you want to get the right effect. On this car, and I've done them before, you see a whole patch of little tiny dots all in this area. You see a patch of little tiny dots all in this area. Here and here. There's 4. Coinciding with the hoppers at the bottom. Each hopper on the side has a patch of dots on it. On the side, above it, you'll see here. Let me get this hooked up. Right there. One hopper, patch of dots on the side. Second hopper, patch of dots on the side. Third, same. Fourth, same. On that car. So what I'm trying to say is this is important because this is an effect that's on this car and you want it on yours. So you got to put all these thousands of little dots in. Well, not thousands, but you know what I'm saying. Very annoying and hard to do, but you got to do it. And then when you're done that, what we're going to do is we're going to spray a black wash, very light black wash, or a dust color, and in that area, and we're going to have running rust coming down probably the red rust, burnt sienna, a wash of burnt sienna, all in there coming down from these thousands of dots. Not very bright, and I'm going to show you later on how to do that, because you don't want it, they're not that prominent, but they're there and it's there. So right now what we're going to focus on is, and that's the part we got to do that. So what we're going to do now is, my next step would be, and is going to be, take your wash of the dark burnt umber right here. Take a wash of burnt umber. Now you got to make this wetter, like really wet. Not as pasty as you did for the buckling rust, but wetter. Very wet. And I'll show you when I do it. And what you're going to do is, you're going to, with your paintbrush, you're going to go down over top on every black dot. You have a little line coming down. You're going to take your paintbrush. Hold on, let me focus. You're going to take your paintbrush and you're going to go bring it down, wash down on each one with dark rust. Now the bigger ones, you can use an airbrush, which I'm going to do, and then I'm going to go over my paintbrush and fill in the rest. So that's what I'm going to do now. Take my airbrush, I'm going to wash down over top of these, and I'm going to put a little bit of that wash in on the black buckling rust. Now with that, I want to show you, since the buckling rust is very dark. See how it's darker than your the red rust? Okay, right there. See, it's even chipped right off. I mean, look at the paint, it's chipped right off. Okay, that's black. That's black rust. Comes out into burnt sienna. Comes out into burnt umber, then burnt sienna, then raw umber. Okay, it's the different layers. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over it with the burnt umber. Airbrush it. Then we're going to take a wash of black, and I'm going to show you this in the next step after this, and we're going to touch each one of these buckling rusts with black. A black wash, not straight black. You don't do it like that. What you do is you take your burnt umber, make a wash. You take a dab, a very small dab of black, mix it in. It makes it darker than it is now. Then you go over each spot on the car to darken that spot. But that's after this step. So right now what we're going to do is burnt umber in the airbrush and wash it down, and we're going to take the small airbrush, small paintbrush, sorry, and go down each, oh my god, it's got to focus. We're going to go down each dot, give it a little trail, like a meteorite, I guess you could say. Even in the hoppers, even with all the little dots on the hoppers here, we're going to go down each one of them just with a wash. And it's going to be very, very light wash, not a thick wash. Because when you put, and so that's what we're going to do now, before I screw up talking. Okay, here's what I did. Okay, I just sprayed over it with the burnt umber wash. Sprayed over it. I sprayed in the rust here. I sprayed in that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over with a Q-tip, tighten all this up, because the contrast is really sharp, as you see in the real car. This is really fadey. We don't want all that fade. We want it tighter. So I'm going to get all that fade out, make it tighter, more contrast. Take it all out. See how it's all fadey around here? Well, we want the fadey inside, but we don't want it fadey on the outsides of the rust. So I'm gonna tighten it all up everywhere. Then I'm gonna take my thin paintbrush and put the lines coming down on every dot. A very, very light wash. And I'll do the other side. This side's a little tighter. There was less bigger rust on this side. And I put a little in here where the 4x hoppers, the 4 hoppers are, and they have all the little tiny dots. I added in a little bit of that in there. So it's done. I thought I was filming it, but when I checked the camera, I wasn't. So I didn't film myself doing it. There's not a lot I can do about that now, except tell you I did it. Okay, and if it's on there and I did film it, good. I don't know anymore. Okay, so next step is I'm gonna put all the little streamers on and tighten it up. Okay, I really toned down the lines with the Q-tip and alcohol. So now I gotta fix that up there a bit. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over, take the thin paintbrush, use the mix. I'm gonna make a wash of the burnt umber. I'm gonna make my wash. It's gonna be really wet wash, and I go down every dot, and inside the streams coming down, the major streams, I'm going to put a few lines in each one because there are lines coming down, and the more detail you put in, the better it's going to look. So take your time, do it right, do it all the way, even if it takes 3 hours, you got to do it. Each line, the major ones, each dot make a line coming from it, and the major ones fill it in, make it all liney, but don't go outside the major thing. Alright, I'm not going to film it because you've seen it before, and got a lot of video to process. It's going to take me all night just with what I got now. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to show you the next step, which is very important. Okay, here we go. And to show you what I did now, what I did was this. See there? See there? I took the black wash I made earlier, and I just tapped in and put, filled in the black inside the dark. And I just tipped off the major spots with the black with a paintbrush. I ran out of battery, so I had to stop. So I kept on going, and I put some decals on this side, and I gotta put the solution on them, the decal solution, setting solution, before I airbrush it. And I got an airbrush, black wash, acrylic mixed with rubbing alcohol. I gotta add some more alcohol to it. So it's a black wash, very light, and I'm gonna put a little bit of black coming down in between and with the rust coming down, just a little bit to highlight the dust. And I'll show you how I do that. I'll do that and film it for you. So that's what I'm doing now. But if I don't get them decals stuck down, they're just gonna blow all the way, and I really don't want to do that. Looking pretty good though, eh? Damn right. Okay, so now I'm gonna put the black on. Let's start with the other side. I'll show you that now. How long my battery's gonna last. I just done it up part way, and I filled the black in here. And you don't want, and one thing I gotta say, you don't want bubble round rust. No bubbly round rust. Like, see that there? I have to go back and correct that. See how it's like round and smooth and everything? You don't want that. You don't want bubbly rust, because rust ain't bubbly, and it's gonna look cheap and crappy if you don't do it right. It's right there. I gotta fix. I have to go back and chop that up. What you do to fix that is, see right there, right here, I'll show you the needle. This is important because a lot of people don't go in and do the detailing. Right here, how it's bubbly and round, what you want to do is you go back with your paintbrush and you make it sharp. Put sharp, a couple little sharp things sticking out, maybe another little one here, or darken it up. Take that bubble effect, that smooth round, out. You don't want smooth and round. unless it is smooth round, but I don't see a lot of that going on in this train. So yeah, I gotta fix that. Just, you know, tap it off, like right here. That's just like, hey, he used a paintbrush. Come on, you don't see no cars like that with the rust. Not too often. See, that's the difference between crap work and detailed work. If you want crap work, it's gonna look like that, the rust, and that don't look like rust. But you chop it up, make it look like rust, chunky and clunky and not uniform, then it'll look right. I mean, okay, so I'm gonna get the airbrush going, put a little bit of black as if black was washing down, and then you ain't even gonna barely be able to see it. It's just gonna be like a light dusting in certain areas. Darken up a couple of these, and in between you might want to put a little bit, and you just go to the prototype photo and you'll see it on there. Okay. Okay, here we go. See the black line here? One here, one here, add a little around here. Okay, now that's pretty good. It looks pretty good like that. I mean, you got some nice running. Now, what the problem is going to be now is you're going to have, see here? I hope I can get this in focus for you. Okay, see how I beat it up and splattered? It's really wet. If you leave the airbrush sitting in one spot, it beads up and does that. All those you got to take out with Q-tip. You just wash them out. That's it. So that's what I'm going to do now on both sides. I'm going to add the rest of the reflectors on the other side, and we're pretty much done. Also, here you can see you got some tags, and I'm going to put those on with some paint, and I've done that, and I'll be done. Just, you know, looks like it says barbecue BBQ X. Stupid crap people put on, kids put on, just crappy little tags, but it all adds to the detail. That's what you want. So I'm going to put that on one side. I'm going to put the reflectors on, and we're done. Then after that, just to let you know, one last thing, don't trim clad it yet. Let it sit overnight or a couple days. Go back and look at it, make sure everything's good, because if you sleep on it, then you'll be able to correct anything you don't really like. It'll start to come out. You say, oh, I don't really like that. Then you can brush it away and fix it. But you put the trim clad on, you can't do it. So I would wait a couple days before you go and seal it up forever. Then you can go back and fix it. Do the ends of your cars also. I already did them a bit. And the top of the cars. Top of the car, the roof walk, add the rest on. Remember, in a real car, these are plastic. I had learned that the hard way. These are plastic, so just dirty them. Don't rust them. Put the rust around them. Yeah, and on the other side here, I got some black and black up top. It's very light fade coming down, running. Okay, that's what I'm going to do now. And I'll be back when